Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Studies by Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon is popularly known as an eminent essayist, thinker, scholar, and philosopher. He belongs to the Elizabethan age and is also known as the father of English essays. Francis Bacon, in this essay, describes the importance of studies in human life. He highlights the importance of reading, writing, and learning in one's life, reinforcing the three purposes of studies. That is, studies for delight. Here, studies is for gaining delight or happiness in one's life. Second is studies for ability. Here, studies is for improving one's ability in life. And third, studies for ornament. Here, study is for ornamenting one's life, that is, making one's life and one's speech beautiful. The first use of studies is that studies serve for delight or pleasure. And this delight can be found even in solitude, in leisure, after retirement from active life. So, for this, one will be happy for themselves, for acquiring that knowledge, for knowing things. Secondly, studies serves as an ornament in communication, conversation, and discourse. Because when you study, you know a lot, and therefore, when you talk, your speech will be so beautiful, and you can bring in so many new words, phrases, or about incidents which happened, you can relate it to others. And generally, it is said an educated person talks more attractively than an illiterate person. And the third is studies helps in decision making or judgment and disposition of business. So the knowledge which you have acquired through your studies, your studies means it doesn't mean only reading books. It is improving your knowledge, that is wisdom. And here he says, studies also has its own limitations. That is, if one is going to spend too much time only in studying, then it cannot be considered as improving yourself, but it also leads to laziness. And it is at the same time, when someone uses a lot of information which they have acquired through studies in a conversation, they tend to exaggerate and pose a person, that is, people will start avoiding you. And thirdly, if a scholar makes every decision of his life with the knowledge which he has acquired, then definitely it is foolish and also a humorous behavior of the scholar. And according to Bacon, men who are hardworking or primitive men, that is skilled people who make their living through their skills, they hate or condemn studies. However, men with simple intellect admire studies. And moreover, it is only the intelligent men who use their studies practically in their life. Because studies does not teach their own uses. It is the wisdom of a person that teaches him to use it. So we can study, but how to apply that knowledge in our life depends on each and every individual. And he also talks about books. He says, there are some books which have to be read only in parts, because they will come and help you only in certain places, not throughout your life. And therefore, such books need not be read word by word. On the other hand, there are some books which should not be read out of curiosity, just because others are reading, or just to know what is in that book, you should not read it. And at the same time, some books must be read with full attention and diligence, because such books will require your full attention. Moreover, there are hidden treasures in this particular category of books that can be only found through the diligence of the reader. That is, the reader must be that very intelligent to understand the hidden meaning, and practically how he applies in his life also depends on him only. And Bacon says, reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. That is, when you read, you become a full man. But when you use that reading in conversing with others, then only you will improve. Particularly if you debate with others, then you will come to know the other side of the argument and what others are thinking, and you can also put forth your argument in full swing. and when you write, you are an exact man. And he says if a man writes less, then he needs a lot of memory to remember all the things that he has learned. And if a person interacts very less, that is, does not talk much with others, then he needs a present and sharp intellect. And if one reads very little, then he must be clever in knowing what he does not. That is, he will not know what he does not know unless he reads and finds out what is happening in the world. And Bacon says that is the history of the ancestors that makes the new generation wise and witty. Therefore, if you are wise, then your future generation will also be wiser. And at the same time, he says, these are the rules and regulations laid down by the ancients that make mathematics subtle because it really has in depth knowledge. Therefore, he says, we have to be naturally intelligent. And it is because of history that philosophy has deep meaning and can be defended through logic and rhetorical arguments. And he completes his essay by saying, so every defect of the mind may have a special receptor. Now let's read the essay, and we shall see what he says, because Bacon's of studies essay deals with the benefits of the study to individuals in the daily lives. And from reading books to writing papers, study plays an important role in a person's life, making him learn, wise, and experienced. Now to the essay. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring, for ornament and is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learnt. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. They perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning. By study, and studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. Crafty men condemn studies. Simple men admire them, and wise men use them, for they teach not their own use, but that is a wisdom without them, and above them won by observation. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, others to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. Some books also may be read by deputy and extracts made of them by others, and that would be only in the less important arguments and the meaner sorts of books. Else, distilled books are like common distilled waters, flashy things. Reading maketh the full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. And therefore, if a man write little, he had need have a great memory. If he confer little, he had need have a present wit. And if he read little, he had need have much cunning to seem to know that he doth not. Histories make men wise, poets witty, the mathematics subtile, natural philosophy deep, moral grave, logic and rhetoric able to contend. Abunt studia in mores, nay, there is no stand or impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by fit studies, like as diseases of the body may have appropriate exercises. Bowling is good for the stone and reins, shooting for the lungs and breast, gentle walking for the stomach, riding for head and the like. So if a man's wit be wandering, let him study the mathematics. For in demonstrations, if his wit be called away never so little, he must begin again. But if his wit be not apt to distinguish or find differences, let him study the schoolmen, for they are semensectors. If he be not apt to beat over matters and to call up one thing to prove and illustrate another, let him study the lawyer's case. So every defect of the mind may have a special recept. Thank you. So this is the essay of Bacon. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.